Hey, this is Vinesh Sukumaran. Welcome to the Positive Behavior Podcast. As you know, this is a place where I talk about applications of positive psychology and ways to develop and demonstrate positive behavior in life. So, this is the third season of the Positive Behavior Podcast. It's called Life Lessons with Friends and Family. So, what's happening? I'm speaking to people who are close to me, interviewing them, and uncovering and sharing here positive behaviors from their life. So, when it comes to any individual, team, organization, or even a country, you'll always find positive qualities and you'll find negative qualities. It's just a matter of where you look. So I'm getting into this interview series, people who I know pretty well, and interviewing them and bringing out some qualities that they have, some positive behaviors that they have, and sharing it in my podcast. So you can find this on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. In recent times, I've also started posting this on YouTube. So you can go to YouTube and look for vineshsukumaran.com. You'll find the recording of these video conferences, of these video calls. Okay, so today I have another special guest. In the last episode 3, I interviewed my sister-in-law, Rohini. And I mentioned that, she's married to my brother, Vinod. And I mentioned that, later at some point, I'm going to also interview him. But I didn't think it's going to happen so fast. It has. So this is the fourth podcast. And my guest here is my brother, Vinod. So what can I say about him? Of course, I've known him throughout my life. That's a no-brainer. A lot of the women who I've met in life, of course, they hung out with me, but they've always wanted to get married to a guy like my brother. And that's because of some qualities that he has. He's a really kind person, and I think one or two things that stand out in terms of his qualities are being kind and compassionate. So he's the kind of person, if he's in a room full of people, he has this incredible ability to identify the most awkward or most uncomfortable person in the room and go ahead and make that person feel comfortable by talking to them, by lightening the mood, by including them, by making them feel a part of everything else, right? So let me not say much more about him. So welcome. Oh, by the way, I call him Master. I think we call each other Master sometimes, and that has another long history. It started with watching kung fu movies together. Okay, so maybe for the purpose of this podcast, I'll call him Vinod. So Vinod, welcome to this podcast. It's nice to have you here.
Thank you.
Before we begin, so if you can say a few things about yourself, about your background, so that the people here, the audience here, later when we get into the other sections, they know who they're, they have context.
Absolutely, sure. So first of all, thank you so much for this wonderful introduction, especially the part where women wanted to marry somebody like me. That's good to know. 20 years too late though.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, just to introduce myself, I like Vinesh, I think rightly said, I'm his brother, and I'm just a normal person living a normal life. I have a job. I work professionally. I work in the IT front, and I'm a technology consultant right now. On the family side, I'm married. I have 2 teenage daughters, dealing with that, and of course, throughout enjoying the way my family life is going on and doing my personal stuff, slightly into the spiritual side of things on the personal side. So these are the things that I do. I thought this would be a very normal introduction to a normal life kind of a thing. But this is how I thought I'll introduce myself. But now when I think and I look around me and things like that, I see that this is not normal. This is not the kind of life people are normally having. There are so many other things that are happening in life, and then there are a lot of struggles, there are a lot of issues that are happening in life. Not necessarily nice to hear, but since you asked me for an introduction, I would like to say that what I'm leading right now is a very blessed, although normal life. And I feel that in some sense, although it's become so unique, I'm happy to say that I'm still able to lead something like that. And I really feel blessed about it.
Nice. I think that's so true. I think a lot of times we just take for granted some things that we have, and things which were taken for granted, which were normal at one point, have become rare to find and almost precious these days. So in just to dive into other parts of this interview, one of the things that positive psychology focuses on is well-being, and of course looking at all sides of well-being, not just one side. Like a term like work-life balance, it almost says work is one thing and life is another thing. So you've spoken about your work, you've spoken about what you do. What are some other things that you do? What's your idea of having fun? What's your idea of enjoying yourself? What you do beyond work? And what are some of the other things that you do in life especially to have fun and to experience leisure, which is an important part of positive psychology?
Sure, yeah. So the thing is, I think the whole idea of fun and having a good time is overrated. Even I think the intent of you asking me a question like that is hoping that I would have some unique answer to it. But really, I just have fun all along. I think I enjoy being at home, and people are complaining about COVID and not being able to step out and stuff like that. I really have had no complaints about it. Throughout my life, I always wanted to find a job where I can just work from home, and I really strive to get that, and now I'm there. So all the more reason for me not to step out. So just spending time with family, that's one thing I do. Hanging out with friends when that opportunity is there, when COVID is not there and you're able to go out. I'm very comfortable doing that, and I have fun then. Spending time all alone, I really enjoy those moments where I'm able to just spend time on my own and think about things, contemplate about some slightly higher things. And then I'm off late into a lot of spirituality, not off late, the past quite a few years. So I'm getting more deeper into some of the Hindu scriptures and the Upanishads and things like that. So I've been a meditator for a long period, so I'm into that. So apart from that, I also have fun just traveling to places, enjoying long drives and things like that. But these are just regular things, and I just enjoy doing that. I don't need to go skydiving or bungee jumping to say that I'm having fun.
Well, I think after you said I was expecting a unique answer. Well, this is a unique answer. I think I got what I was expecting. So a lot of people listening to these sort of podcasts, reading articles out there, even looking at posts and other things. One of the things that I've noticed people are constantly trying to put their finger on is like, what did this person do? What did this person get right? And they're trying to sort of get that same thing right. So in positive psychology, one of the things that I like about it is they're saying that everybody's doing something right. Okay? So it's very inclusive in that sense, and I think it's also true. And also for the benefit of people who are in that search of that magic formula. You never know what strikes different people. So you've gotten to where you want in life. You're having fun. That's a great thing. I think you've got a job. I mean, that's such a blessing nowadays to find something and to find a job and to be able to do it exactly the way you want, right? So what do you think are some things that you did right or you got right? You want to talk about that a bit?
Yeah, sure. So for the sake of the podcast and positive psychology, some of the things that I've done, first of all, I'm not sure if the audience will resonate with where I am right now, because each one's expectations is very different. So, but if at all it does, then mine has been a long journey. So to give you a bit of background on this, when I was working, when I just started working and things like that, it was always about increasing your salary. It's always about the next job, and going from, I'm a developer. I was in the IT field, so some of the designations are like developer and senior developer, senior engineer, and team lead and tech lead, and then your project manager, and then your delivery head and stuff like that. So the goal was to kind of climb up the ladder and do the typical stuff. And also I had this thing of buying a Mercedes by the time I was 40 years old. Okay, so that was a big milestone that I wanted to achieve. But then, as you move on. Now when I look back at my life and then think of the goals that I had about buying a Mercedes at 40, it feels so stupid and feels so small. Now I can buy a Mercedes if I really want to, but I just never would buy a Mercedes or an Audi, or I just don't see the value in it anymore. So it's basically what you really want in life, I think, and what you turn out to become over a period of time. Hopefully during that period you're trying to correct yourself or improve yourself or learn from the environment and situations and things like that, and you'll reach a point where you probably make peace with it. So one is, I've learned to kind of lower my expectations. We live in a world where, everything is competitive. Everything is fighting against the other person and reaching the top. You have to get into the best universities, get into the best locations and stuff like that. There is really nothing like that. These are all just created by our society. So if you want, and again, it depends on what is the goal. What do you want to do? Is it about really achieving those things, or you just want to be happy and content with what you are? For me, my goal is very clear. I want to be happy and content with my life and just have fun all along. So now when I look back, I know that I've done that. So it's not always about having high expectations and hitting those marks. Sometimes you don't even need to hit those marks. I'm just happy where I am. So not having a Mercedes, am I still happy? Absolutely. For me, what was more important was having more my time, personal time. And that was what I was trying to. So initially, although I was looking for a project manager role and that and this. Later it was about, can I get more time for myself, not working for 12 hours every day, 10 hours every day. And that is what I strive to achieve, and that is what I've achieved now in terms of. So I'm constantly looking for a job, and for a specific job where I can contribute what is required, not having to stay late and not having to lick up somebody up the ladder and things like that. So that's what I've achieved now. And you don't have to win always. That's such a wrong concept. It's okay to just be what you are. It's okay to try. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. That's the way life is. And I think more importantly, you just need to be yourself and value the personal time that you have. And that's what really teaches you something, just being yourself and comfortable with yourself first. More about, instead of worrying about how other people look at you and things like that. I think that's what has really been different, or what I've learned from my life so far.
That's such a useful lesson. I think that idea, I'm sure so many people listening to this would be able to relate to it, because I've coached enough people. Almost always there's some material target involved. I've almost never met somebody who says I didn't have a material target. So I'm sure a lot of people can relate to it. So if just to come back to you've made it pretty clear that you have to look at what's your priority, and it can go beyond all these material things and position and designation and so on. Do you want to say something about what else, what do you think is an ideal pursuit in life? So you've said that this is an ideal pursuit, but just for somebody listening to this, imagine someone listening to this and saying, yeah, I've also chased these things. Even I'm an IT guy. I'm working as a senior project manager somewhere. But yeah, this is not it. So what do you think it is? What do you think is it? What are some other things? One thing you've clearly said is having more time for yourself, Mando. That's your formula, right? That's what you went after. But like this, I'm sure you have a sense of what would be good things for people to pursue. Do you want to say something about what are some other good things for people to pursue in life, apart from, or maybe even including money and fame and fortune, but even apart from that, what else could it be?
So it really depends. Each one has their own, there is no general formula for this. I think each one has their own goals and priorities. But I think if you're able to prioritize, because at the end of everything, it comes down to being happy. I think that's the way I look at it. No matter what you have in terms of material things or otherwise, and whatever it is, if you're not happy with what you have, then there's always something that you're looking to move on from where you are, right? So I think in some sense it comes down to happiness. If you're able to bring that happiness into your life, then I think a lot of things will fall in place. Now, how do you go about doing that? So that's kind of hard, right? So you should start spending more time for yourself on your own and try to kind of figure out what these things are. Maybe something will come out saying that some things that you like I know some people who play the guitar, some people who like to trek, some people just like to travel, some people just like to go for a walk in the park, and they spend that quality time of half an hour just alone with themselves. And those things make a difference. Some people just read. So, finding something that you really like to do or just enjoy doing. It doesn't have to be this big thing that you have to like and go searching to the Himalayas for it. It doesn't have to be like that, I think. That's the way I look at it. I think it's about just doing the small things that you really enjoy when you're all alone, not pushed by other people, not pushed by family, not pushed by society. What is it that you really want? Now the thing is, you don't have time to think about these things because you're so busy from morning till evening doing this and that. So you have to just stop at some point and start spending small amounts of time. If you're not used to it, spend 20 minutes every day just doing nothing. That's when you do that over a period of time, spend half an hour, spend 1 hour over a period of time, then different things will come to your mind. Because until then, you're not even stopping to think, you're just running this whole so-called life race that is just day to day sucking your energy out, right? So I think first is just stop, slow things down where you can. Of course, this does not mean that you have to stop working and you can't stop taking care of your family and things like that. That's not the intent. The intent is you still have to do those things, but try to kind of slowly start thinking about the other things that you like to do as well. Because right now we are not even thinking about it. It's only after you start thinking about it that you do something about it. Because the classic example is in my case. When you're working for an IT company, you know how it is. You're just constantly busy, morning till evening, and then they don't even respect your time after you've gone back home. They're calling you on the calls and things like that. So I just wanted to get away from that. But it took me 3 to 4 years to find a job where I could get away from that. So because I started thinking much earlier about this, and then it took me so many years to focus on that and then look for a job and then get it. But it's possible. Anybody can do anything they want, right? So I think doing something like that would start making a lot of difference. And I think you don't have to be too hard on yourself. Everybody's just trying their best. So I think you have to keep that in mind. Everybody's just doing their best and nobody means anything bad. By and large, there are of course mean people out there, but that's not what I'm trying to say. By and large, everybody's trying to do their best. So don't be too harsh on yourself. Take it easy. Try to kind of spend more time on your own, and then avenues will start opening up where you feel that, wow, I never thought of this, I could do this. And then you start pursuing that while you still have your normal career and things like that, So I think it's important to slow down, step back, look, and then move on with life. And you have to start doing that more and more often as you grow older or as you get the opportunities.
So one of the strong things that you're saying is taking time out to just spend it with yourself, and then slowly the right thing for you. I like the fact that you allude to different people having different, the magic formula is not one for all. It's different things for different people, but essentially taking time out. Okay, so another important thing that positive psychology focuses on is people's strengths, right? And different people like different people are doing different things, right? And you spoke about that. Different people also have different strengths. So talk about your strengths. What do you think are your strengths? And normally strengths are things that people seek you out for. Some people have told you this. Sometimes you've just strongly felt it yourself that these are my strengths. Okay, it could be a number of things. But I'm interested for you to talk about two things. One is, how do you know that these are your strengths? And secondly, how have these strengths helped you? If you say something is your strength, how has it really helped you in life?
Sure. So I think clearly one of the strengths that came out right at the beginning from you directly was that looks like I'm marriage material. So at least the women tend to think so.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, looks like I'm like the person who's very steady and normal and somebody who can get married to. So, but that apart, I think what I've been told otherwise is that I'm a very patient person. I have a lot of patience and I listen to, and I always lend a ear to others and listen to their problems and willing to help. So I think that's probably something that's, I can say that to some extent helping others is a mentality that's there for whatever reason. Probably it's from my upbringing, or it's to do with seeing my dad, how he was, or these are some of the things that I say I'm very fortunate to have been in an environment like that, where dad was somebody who used to just go about helping anybody and everybody. We didn't even know where he's given money to whom and whom he's helped out, because the day he passed away, there were so many people around here who came to our house and we didn't know half of them. And these would be guys like vegetable vendors to, somebody selling fruit somewhere, to a welding guy who's running a shop somewhere. So these kind of folks, and they come and talk to you. So even I think a few months back, somebody passing by on the road stopped and he said he knew my dad very well and he had helped him set up a shop. I had no clue who this was. But I think living in an environment like that and looking up to him has in some way made me like that, I think. And so I'm in some sense, of course, not like what he was, but trying to, I think it just naturally comes to help others and you to be there for them when you can. And so that's something I think I'm and as I'm growing older, I'm able to see a lot of those characteristics coming out after you've done something. When you look back and say, oh yeah, man, my dad would have done this. So that kind of a thing, I can see that reflection that's coming out, right? So that I think is, a lot of people might think it is a weakness, but I think it's definitely a strength. Apart from that, generally, I think I'm kind of aware of what's happening around us. Aware as in not in terms of general knowledge about things that are happening around you and what are the things that are going up, what are the things that are going down. I think it's just nice to know these things, and I think I have a flair for that, or have an inclination towards that, because of which I tend to read more or watch more of these things that happen around us in terms of the news or the current affairs or whatever it is. And I have a tendency to ask and think for myself, which I think it's a good quality to kind of inculcate for anybody, because it's not about just doing something blindly. You always want to think. This is something you tell our children, right? Think and do this. If something happens, instead of try to find out why it is. How does this thing work, or how does the water boil, or something like that. So I think it's important to think. So a good example is I'll go back to this vaccination. It's a very controversial subject. But
Sure.
The vaccination, the moment it came in, everybody wanted to take it, and this was not one a tested thing. So the people just trust the government and the vaccination and say, okay, let's go take this. But if you look back at the history, so this is where I'm saying think and ask. So if you read a little bit about the history, how vaccinations are created, it needs a sustainable time to kind of actually do these things and test it, and then before you roll it out. So just because things are going bad, it doesn't mean the vaccination is the solution for everything. Of course, I'm not saying you can't take it. All of us have to take it at some point, and that is the right solution the government is driven as well. But then you'll have to wait and see how it's working out. You can't take what somebody is saying for granted, So that's just a very odd example, maybe, and a lot of you all might not agree with it. But you can see this in a day-to-day concept that just came to my mind, so I spoke about it. But anything that happens, I think we need to spend a little more time, think about it, and then before you take a decision and jump into it. So that is what has helped me a lot. So, so it's not like, I'm not specific to vaccination again, but a lot of times I tend to think and question before I do something, and because of which I spend a lot of time gathering information about that, whatever that subject is. So because of which I browse or ask people about it, and I'm very open to learning about things. So those things have not only helped me, but it's also made me more humble, because there are a lot of people out there who know so much more than you. So when you speak to those people, you realize, oh man, these guys are really good. So even just talking about music, I feel I know so much about music and classic rock we used to listen to and stuff like that. But if you speak to a friend of mine who knows really a lot about music and the instruments they use and the kind of guitars they use and the notes they play, when you listen to somebody like that, you think, wow, this is fantastic. I'm humbled, So I just know the tip of the iceberg. So those kind of people you meet every day, but it's nice if you're aware of it and you ask them the right questions, you're learning from them all the time. So I think these things have really been helpful. And lastly, I think I just try to be I think I'm in general very genuine, or I cannot put on an act for anybody or anything. I would fail drastically at it if I have to attempt doing it. And that for a long time I thought it was not a strength, but I know of late that it definitely is. And very difficult. You find a lot of people who struggle with that, and I'm glad that I'm not one of them. So I think these definitely have had a huge impact on where I am today, and made me what I am today.
Sure. So I'm going to just, because there are so many strong ideas there, I want to just pull them out one by one. So yeah, no questions there. You have a great interest in learning things and finding out. You're curious about what's happening around you. I've typically not been like that. So just for the audience here, a lot of times if I need to know something, and something which I don't have a real interest in reading or finding out, I'll just go ask my brother about it, and he'll sort of fill me in and give me the whole story, whether it's politics or whether it's something that's happening in another country or whatever. The other thing about patience, yes, I think that's an important quality. I'm going to just park that, and you've sort of made it clear that because of your upbringing, maybe because of the way dad was, you've picked that up. The quality of being genuine, very, very critical in positive psychology. In fact, one of the big pieces that I'm writing and have been writing from about 2015 is about the technical term in positive psychology for that is authenticity. Okay, it's about being authentic. Also thinking and doing things. So my next question is, what do you think? Somebody might listen to this. I can totally imagine someone listening to this and saying, "Oh wow, that's such especially that vaccine example. It's so current." Somebody's going to listen to this and say, "How do I have that? How do I get that quality?" So, can you say something about each of these? Like how somebody who's not patient, I know many people like that. What do they do? How do they start becoming patient? Somebody who doesn't have an interest, like me, like I don't have an interest in typically by and large world affairs. Okay, how do they develop an interest in it? Or the other thing that you spoke about is being genuine. Somebody who sometimes I've done a lot of training for sales, and sales is a field where you almost have to put on a certain kind of style and promoting a product, or even salespeople are told you demonstrate passion about your product even if you're not, and so on. So how do you get that genuineness? So patience, being genuine, questioning something and then thinking about it and then acting. Okay, and the next thing which you said is generally being aware of everything and finding out. How does somebody build these strengths? You want to say some things about that?
So I'm not a coach as such, so it's kind of really difficult to specify steps on how to go about achieving this, and also I don't know if there's an intent. So I think the first thing is you should have an intent. Anybody listening to this or anybody looking at patients and things like that, they should have an intent to do this. So first of all, a lot of people might not even find that appealing, right? And patience may not even be a virtue that is there in their radar. So they might not even look for something like. So it completely depends on what people really want, and it's not like a general package that you can look at. But if you have, it's not about these 3 points. It's about anything, right? So if somebody wants to change, so we are basically talking about how to change or how to acquire a new habit. So that's what this is about. It's not about whether it is genuinity or patience or whatever it is. Some things I've been blessed because of the way things have happened in my life. So maybe that is something that some people do not have, but unfortunately. But then, so in those kind of circumstances, how do you acquire a new habit? So that's what it is about. I think there are umpteen books that have been written about and things like that. So they might be able to tell you this in a more better way. But I think just from my perspective, all I can tell is that if there is an intent to become something else or to acquire something new or to change your character in some way, then I think that intent is the first thing. And the second thing is you make up your mind you're going to do that. Right, and so this is what I do. This is what I have applied for some of the way when I look back in my life. So what I do is sometimes I sit and write down things about myself. Writing is a good habit, by the way, in case you do not have it. It's nice to kind of write about your strengths, your weaknesses, or what you've gone through life, or just look back on life and start writing about things. That will kind of give you a major insight into yourself, which you've never had before. So there are a lot of things that we do not know about ourselves, and that is a fact. I mean, that's really a fact. So although people, some amount of stuff comes from the environment and from people that you interact with, they might in one way or the other tell you in different ways. but you may or may not get it. So it's very important that so this goes back to the initial conversation that where we had about spending time for yourself. Maybe these are things that you can do. So these things will only happen when you spend time on your own. Otherwise, it will just not happen. So it's really important if you're able to list out things about yourself, about the strengths, about the experiences that you've had, the circumstances. I'm just listing everything, but you prioritize and choose some of these things that are important to you. And then, for example, if something happened in the office or something that you're not happy about at, let's say, at the work environment, if you're able to write those things down, why am I not happy? What are the issues that are creating this? And the moment you write it down, you're able to think in a different way. You're able to see things in a different way. And then you can come out and see how can you look at solutions. Or then you reach out to people, reach out to experts in that area, coaches in that area, and then ask and learn from those folks who are already done this, been there, done that, experienced folks. And the moment you start doing this, then you will realize this is not the only path. There are so many other ways I can handle the same situation. And I'm comfortable doing that. It's not, until then you're not even open to this. First of all, you or me would not even know there is a problem. It's only after you put it out there and then you visualize it yourself, you contemplate on it, that is when you realize, oh my God, I have all these problems. Now, how do I fix it? And then the solutions are there. It's not like you're stuck and that's the end of the life. Absolutely not. There are so many other ways to handling any problem. So I think these are some of the things that you can do. And going back to what I told before, don't beat yourself up for anything because we're all trying our best in our lives. So just take it step by step. And then I think there should be ways you will find various avenues which you never even thought existed earlier. And then I think once that happens, then it's just it'll start repeating. Next time you come across an issue or a problem and things like that, you will immediately know, okay, this is just another thing and let me see how to handle it. So you'll be more prepared. And that just gets improving there and thereafter.
There are enough people out there who really want to do something. They really have the intent, but they're still not able to do it. Okay? We're obviously talking about that group. So the first thing is to have the intent. But I like more specifically what you said about, because, the thing with the intent, the way we are discussing it, it sounds like it's either a hit or miss. You either have it or you don't have it. Okay? But I like what you said about sitting down and writing down exactly what you are, what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses, writing down those things. And also going back to what you said earlier about taking time out for yourself, and that will open a lot of doors. Okay, so the other thing which I also want to ask is people, most of the time, people are going out seeking help, reading something, and so on, when things are not going their way. Okay, so what has helped you get through some of the toughest times in your life? What is it that you did? What helped you get through tough times? And I'm sure we've all had tough times in our lives. So what are some things that have helped you get through some tough times in your life?
So going through tough times is definitely not easy. I don't think it's hard for everybody, right? And it is tough because you do not know what to do. If you knew what to do, then it's not a tough thing, because then you would have found a solution to it, and then you would have moved on. So obviously you're in that position because you're totally confused, or you're not able to handle that situation that you're in, right? Whoever is there. So for me, what I've done is, when I've been in a tough situation like that, of course I keep trying. It's human tendency to just keep trying different things to resolve that issue, right? So we keep trying, so that we just don't give up. Of course, the problem persists because whatever you're trying is not working out. So, but then you don't stop trying, you keep trying. And so it depends on what the situation is or what the problem is. Typically, if it's involving other people and things like that, then whatever you're doing on a day-to-day basis, you continue contributing in the best way you can, so that the ecosystem is not impacted, right? So there have been maybe I thought I'll share an example, but then I think I've decided not to share the example because it's very related to my personal life, something that I underwent. But what I think wanted to say is that I think when you're undergoing something, you just continue doing what you were doing and then keep at it. at some point, it's like everything in life is like this chart, right, which just goes up and comes down. Anything that is down, it has to go up. Anything that's up will come down at some point. I think that is just the philosophy of life, and that's how everything works. So you just have to have hope and say that this thing will just move on after some time. So you just keep at it and keep doing what you have to and contribute. I think the important thing is that you keep contributing in the best way that's possible and keep trying in the best way as possible. And this here again it's a great opportunity to reach out to experts, and people are there to help. There are lots of people who are happy to help. So I think it's very important to reach out and then get suggestions and see if are you doing the same mistake again and again? Are you like applying to the same job with the same kind of a profile? Do you need to change your profile, or do you need to do something else? Do you need to apply to a different kind of a job instead of the kind of job that you've been looking for the past 5 years? So these are things that an external perception will give you major insights into, and then you can take it on from there, right? But keep at it. I think that's very important. Being persistent, I think, is what has helped me. And then whatever I can contribute, if in a situation where other people are involved, and I've constantly contributed in other ways, but in some ways where I'm not able to, but wherever I can, I've contributed so that the ecosystem doesn't fall apart. And then once this passes away, then you're back to normal, and still you contribute the way you can, but then your problem is gone and things are back to normal. But then you do not have that foresight to say that this problem will also pass. So I think the magic formula here really is this too shall pass. I think you just have to have that in your head, because everything is like that. Everything will pass, even the good things and the bad things. So I think if you're able to just have that during these tough times, of course easier said than done. I've gone through it multiple times myself. It's definitely not easy. But these are the times to make use of these positive sayings, and otherwise these things are really useless, right? What's the point of having positive sayings and positive psychology if you're not able to use it? So these are the times to kind of say to yourself, yes, this too shall pass, and then stick to what you're doing, keep trying and things like that, and definitely it'll help. It has to help. Otherwise you're going to end up dying, right? We don't want to do that. And living is all about sustaining. So this too shall pass, I think, is what you have to remember during tough times.
Sure. So I like that idea of, trying. So one of the main, the real strong thing that you're saying is, when times are tough, just keep doing, just keep trying. That's one thing. You also said, I love this idea of continue to contribute, don't rock the boat, because you just keep contributing, and slowly that area of your life which is not working will also come back to normal, because this too shall pass. You also mentioned something about just keep having hope. Do you want to say something about that? Like, especially at times when, you're likely to lose hope, when you don't have hope, when somebody doesn't have hope, of course they can keep trying different things, and they can keep continuing to contribute. But do you want to say anything, any thoughts on how somebody can have hope, especially somebody who doesn't have hope? How can they have hope? Any thoughts on that?
Actually, thanks for asking that question, because I just finished speaking, and then I thought I wanted to say this as well. So,
Sure.
I think that's very relevant what you asked. So the point I wanted to make was that, hope, exactly, specifically to hope. So when you are going through a tough situation and you feel hopeless, right? That's the time. What I realized from my experience is that I've tried for this specific job that I've tried again and again and again and again, just not happening. So, but then you can't stop trying. That's all you can do, right? And then, of course, you speak to people. Like I said, these are all based on my experiences. So I'm telling you this. I speak to people, speak to advisors, speak to senior folks who've been there, done that, try to get advice, and then you try to see how to make it work. But you keep trying that. But you'll reach a point where it's just not working. Then what do you do? So what I've learned is that I've just learned to. So I'm a spiritual person. I'm a meditator from a long time. I believe there is a universal power that is out there, which is, I don't know if it's guiding your day-to-day life, but there is definitely a huge universal power that's out there, which is making everything work around us, the entire universe. So I believe in a universal energy, whether you want to call it God or anything else, which is left up to you. But I believe in that. So for me, after I tried for a long time, I just felt I needed to surrender, which means don't try so hard. That's all you can do. You're just you. That's all you can do. You just surrender. And which is what I did. And I just surrendered to to my faith that I had in the universal energy, and I just released all the hard work that I was trying and stuff like that. So that's the point when I realized, and then the moment I did that, within a couple of days or 3 to 4 days, things just started to change. The opportunity started coming up. I got calls from multiple people, and in fact also found the kind of job that I was looking for. So, that was very magical, and that's very revealing for me, although not very surprising because I'm spiritual in any case. These are things that I've been reading about and studying about from a very long time. So it's not very surprising. But the fact that in spite of me being in the field for so long, I had to undergo something like this before I could release, surrender to a greater power. But what I learned from that experience is that while it's very important that you keep putting in the effort, it's also important that you can call it luck, you can call it fate, you can call it destiny, whatever, but you do need that support from that higher power. So I think it's important to be grateful for what you have and to respect that higher power and know that there is something larger than you that is there, and to a large extent you need that support as well. I think so. That's a huge learning for me, and I'm totally sold on that.
Sure. So keep trying, and to keep hope alive, just remind yourself that there is a larger power which will take care of things in the end. Lot of people who try to get help, especially we are talking about tough times, they try to seek help. The two go-to places are reading something on the internet, going to the internet, searching something on Google. Typically, it'll take you to a site where you have to read something, or it'll take you to a site where you have to watch something. These are the two main modes of, people getting help or learning new things or changing their life for the better. So in that context, I want to ask you, are there some, we've spoken, like I was mentioning in the beginning, you're my older brother, so I've known you from the beginning of my life, though I think you've spent many years without having me around. So what are some movies or books that you would recommend, which you think have had a really positive impact on you? And what is it that you would recommend? If you want, you can also share what you think the audience is going to gain from it.
From a book perspective, I'm not, or rather from a movies perspective, I've not seen any movies which have really had a personal impact on me. Of course, these are movies I've seen, I've enjoyed it, and for me, movies are just movies, so it'll never have that impact on me. I might cry during that movie, but that's it. It'll not have an impact on me when I walk out of the theater. It's just over there. So for me, movies are very artificial, so it's always been like that. And it's the same with a lot of these videos that we watch and things like that, unless they are something that's teaching you something, right? So from that perspective, I think more books have had a larger impact on me from what I've seen in my life. So one of them that has had a huge impact, like I told you earlier as well, from a spiritual angle, I've been in spirituality for some time. So one of the books that have had a huge impact is the autobiography of a yogi by Paramahamsa Yogananda. That was a very big eye-opener in terms of what they've done and why India is called the land of spirituality, and what it actually means and what can be achieved, and the meaning of life and why we are here, and all the stuff that they've spoken about and the experience that they've had. Why going to the Himalayas is such a big deal. We only talk about it like it's a casual thing, right? If you want to meditate, go to the Himalayas. But there is meaning to it. I mean, there are reasons why people have gone there and spent time, and that's the reason why Beatles have come here and Steve Jobs had to come here, because this is really the land of spirituality. So when I read the autobiography of a yogi, that was like a really eye-opener. And I'm not the only one. That's a book that's impacted like millions of people around the world. So that's had a great impact on me as well. And just purely to know the vastness of spirituality itself, and the vastness of individuals and the kind of who we really are, right? That search or to find out what we're doing in life, and who created this whole world, and to understand the real meaning of life. It was an eye-opener, and in terms of it gives you some context in terms of how to go about trying to understand the deeper meaning of life, if at all anybody's interested in that. Apart from that, on the lighter side, there were books like Illusions and Jonathan Livingston Seagull by Richard Bach, this author called Richard Bach, which kind of I liked. They were very light and they were also spiritual in some sense. So I think I just have this flair for spirituality, or the liking for spirituality. So his books also kind of very similar, where you are in control of stuff that happens around you, or you have your link to the greater power and things like that. Maybe if you read it, you might not see it like that, but if you read about the author and his background, you will see a bit of that as well. Apart from that, one book I really liked is Fountainhead by Ayn Rand. That gives you the way she's written the book about the character and the way she's brought out the characters is really nice in terms of quality itself. She's given it a completely different perspective to quality, what it means, and the passion that you have for something that you believe in, how you bring that out, right? And it's all about what you really believe in. Of course, it's a very popular book. Most of you must have read that. And of late, I'm just mainly more into the Vedanta philosophy of life. Vedanta is basically a concept that we have from our Vedas. It's a philosophy that's explained in our scriptures called the Upanishads. So I'm like more into that. So I see a lot of YouTube videos which are from the Vedanta Society based in New York. There is this person called Swami Priyananda. He's an amazing guy. He just talks about what Vedanta is and how you can. So they talk about how you can, the stuff that we spoke about, how you can figure out what life is about and the true meaning of life. It's very surprising when I read it the first time. The Upanishads have given you step-by-step process in terms of how to achieve these things. So, have somebody who's thought about this so many years back. I mean, we had all the scriptures. It's just brilliant that we've not looking into it at all. So these were like big eye openers for me, and these are the books and stuff that's had a huge impact on me.
Right. So just to do a recap. Okay, first of all, movies are time pass for you. You watch them for fun, and that's the space it has in your life. But Jonathan Livingston Seagull, Illusions, both these books by Richard Bach, Fountainhead, autobiography of a yogi, and the Upanishads. Okay, so you referred to this earlier, where you said you have to be happy. That's really the ultimate thing. Now, a lot of people I coach, I mentor, in the end, even if they're trying to pursue material aspirations or corporate aspirations or whatever it is, in the end, they're all trying to feel good. I've not met anybody who's trying to achieve something because it's going to make him or her feel bad in the end. They're all trying to feel good. So what does that feel for you? What does feeling good feel like for you? When you feel good, what is it that you're feeling? And also, if you want, you can share how others can feel the same way. What do you think people can do to feel that way?
What do you feel? So for me, I think feeling good is... it all boils down to happiness is what I feel. Everything is just that. If you're happy, so what is that feeling good? There's nothing like feeling good. You're feeling happy. It's my perception of it, right? And how do you feel happy? You basically take steps to not get carried away by. I think if you're trying to be really genuine, and if you're able to identify the things that you really want, or things that you really need, rather, not the things that you want, because humans are like have endless desire, right? So what you want is like completely endless, but what do you need, and what are the things that will keep you happy? So it's again going back to what we discussed earlier about, is that your priority, right? If somebody just wants to buy a big car and live like a life that somebody else is leading, then that's what they're going to do. That's what they're going to get, right? But if is that what you really want? If that's going to make you feel good, and if you feel that that's what it is, then that's what you should try to achieve. But what you should also realize is that by doing those things, your happiness or the feel-good factor is very short-lived. It's less like buying a new mobile phone, right? You buy a new mobile phone, you're excited for the first couple of days, and then you can see. So there in economics, there's this term called the law of diminishing utility. This is exactly that. So you start using it for some time, and then after some time the utility value goes down, and then it's initially you're having the phone with you all the time, you're checking your new stuff. After a week it's lying somewhere, you don't care. So that's pretty much what it is about everything material. So I think that is why spending more time with you and trying to figure out, getting deeper and asking more deeper questions about yourself will try to give you a path into what is the real feel good and how can you keep yourself feeling good most of the time, if not all the time, at least most of the time. So I think if you're able to do that and try to bring out the genuineness in you, because that's what you truly are, and if you're able to reach that point, I think you will be comfortable in most situations, and that will, you might not be ecstatic all the time, but at least you'll not feel bad. You'll go through life feeling fairly good by and large. This is what I've seen, and this is what I've experienced. So that is one aspect of it. The second aspect of feeling good is something that I've experienced from a meditation perspective. That is, I think, the real thing. So when I've had this experience because I've been meditating for a long time. I've had this experience where I really felt connected to the entire world and everything around me and everybody else around me, and it just felt like one large universe, right? And where we are all just connected through this universal energy or whatever that flow is, and that gives you a totally different perspective of life. If any of you have gone through that, you know what I'm talking about. But if you're not, you still can by trying to pursue meditation or other techniques that are out there too. So when you say meditation and all these things, it's not like something that's bizarre and something that nobody can achieve. These are very basic things. We've been talking about it the entire time today. It's about being on your own, spending more time for yourself, and then inquiring into what you truly are. Spending more time like that will automatically lead you into these things. That's when you will start asking the larger questions about who we are or why we are here, or those things are actually, I think, important to kind of keep in mind, because that's really how I think we ought to progress. Again, these are just my opinions and what I've gone through in life. It may or may not apply to you, but end of the day, I think the focus is you and the genuine you, not the artificial you. So if you're able to figure out who that genuine you is in whatever way it is, whether it's meditation or whether it's through coaching or whether it's to whatever approach you take, I think that will automatically put you in a state of feeling good most of the time, by and large. So seek out and try to find out your own path and see if you can able to figure that out, and you'll start feeling good, I think. I'm not sure if I answered the question in terms of what feeling good means.
Yeah, you did. So, I mean, I like that description which you gave. This the second part of it. Okay, so the first part of saying that if you're chasing things which are just to use some jargon here, there are means goals and ends goals. Means goals are the mobile phone. Ends goals are what the mobile phone makes you feel. So eventually we are after the means goals and we buy things, or we go for a trip or do whatever. You're expecting that it gives you the end goal, and that will stay longer term. But your description of what does feeling good feel like for you, I think that was really good. What you spoke about the meditation, about feeling this sense of being one with the universe, one with everything else, feeling that sense of flow. So I think that I'm sure, even as I was listening to it, I mean, though I meditate, it's something that I felt like, wow, that must be a great feeling. I also like that idea, to come back to it, of just being able to put your finger on who you really are and then trying to feel good, because then you'll hit the right spot, rather than doing it through somebody else's standards or doing it through things which are more superficial. Great. So, I'm coming to the end of this interview. So, Master, if there's anything else that you want to share, and just to give you an idea, typically the people who listen to my podcast are people who are interested in self-development, interested to learn new things, interested to also try new things. I've come out with this interview model. Till now it was mostly my voice, and I would pick a topic and which I have an expertise over and talk about it and break it down. But a lot of people said, they'd like to see an interview model. And I said, why interview, people who are supposed to look good on your channel, rather than interview, I said, I'm going to interview people who I know. And I think I have enough people in my life who have amazing positive behavior. So that's how this whole thing started. Is there anything else that you want to share with such an audience?
So I think it's first of all, I think it's a fantastic initiative. I think it's a great thing to do, especially if you have people who are who attend your trainings and who look up to you and things like that. And if you're able to share these kind of things with them, whatever way it helps, it's an amazing thing. And I think nothing like getting it from the regular people who've gone through stuff, right? So that's like, because that's going back to the word genuine. That's what it is. So yeah, just a couple of things I would like to share is that again, from my experience, what I've seen is that a lot of times when I just do not give credit to myself or to who I am, and what I've done in my life and how much I've achieved in my life. Now, achievement is different to different people. I'm just telling you my context. But I think if I have to sit back and think about it, I think I've achieved a fair bit, and I'm very content where I am. So you have to give credit to that, and this applies to everybody who's listening to this podcast as well. Everybody is achieved, is wherever they are right now, in whatever position they are, they've achieved that. Nobody else has done that. They themselves have achieved that, and they have to give credit to themselves for that, because that's very critical. And we underestimate ourselves so much because we've done so much. You have to be happy. You have to give a pat on your back for what you have achieved so far, and that's really, you deserve it. So that's what I'm trying to say. You deserve it. So don't be too harsh on yourself. I've told this before. Don't be too harsh on yourself. Give a pat on your back. Live life a little loose. And that's, I think, very critical too. It's like if you're going to the gym, you have to go to the gym every day at this time. You have to walk this many steps every day. Once in a while, if you're not able to do it, it's absolutely fine. Nothing's going to happen. So be a little easy on yourself. You don't have to have strict regimes. It's sometimes it's required, but it's also not. Sometimes it's not required. So you have to have that flexibility and flow to keep things moving and peaceful. So I think you should just take it a bit easy where it's required and don't be too harsh. But by and large, give credit to yourself where it's required. That's really important. And for folks who have children or who interact or teach with kids, one very important thing I would like to share is that while it's really nice to tell them about how it's important to be successful and be a superstar and have fame and go to the best universities in the world, I think it's also important to really tell them, after all this, what are you going to do? Okay, this is not for you to tell them, but for you to think about, after getting into the best universities, working for the top thing, what are they going to do at the end of it? They're going to slog 10 to 12 hours a day. Their personal life is going to go out there for years and years and years and after, right? So inculcate in them to build something where they can strive and live or do something that they really like. Teach them a way to find something that they really like doing and enjoy doing. For example, my elder daughter loves art. So she just enjoys doing that art. For her, taking a break is doing art, doing some paintings or, doing something that she really likes. So we just do not stop her. We push her to do that further. Because that once you start working and things like that, your life is going to get sucked into that thing. But at the same time, you should be able to balance that. And that is something you have to teach children when they're young. That's so critical, because it's not just about being in the rat race till you die. It's about finding space for yourself in that rat race. While being in the rat race, find time for yourself to spend time for things that you really like on a day-to-day. That will keep you balanced, and that will keep you going for longer term, and that will keep you feeling good on a more regular basis than otherwise. So I think that as adults, we owe it to them to inculcate that into them. I'm not sure if I made sense, but maybe Vinesh will rephrase it in a much better way.
So first is, give credit to yourself. Give yourself a pat on the back. I think that is a great thing. I think when we see it written here and there, a lot of times I look at multiple self-help books and many of them almost saying the same thing. So give yourself credit for what you have done. I like this whole idea of, making it, loosening your grip on certain things in life and learning when to take it easy when you have to. And I think that last idea is great for parents, great for also children, and people who are watching this. While you're trying to be successful and trying to be well educated and trying to do everything right and reach the top, don't forget to be happy, don't forget to feel good. So I think this really brings us to the end of this particular episode. So if you like this podcast, please share it, subscribe to it, follow it. If you have something to say, if you like what Vinod shared with you today, if you tried it out, if you made some change in your own behavior, if you pulled out a couple of ideas and used it in your own life and you want to just tell us what happened, you can go to my website, vineshsukumaran.com. You'll find my coordinates there. You can write to me, email me, message me. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can put your thoughts in the comments below. So, Vinod, thank you very much for being on this. It feels so weird calling you Vinod. So, Master, thank you very much for being on this episode, on this episode of my podcast channel. Thanks for your time. Thanks for the lovely insights. I'm sure people are going to love it. And when I hear back from people, I'm sure I'll keep you posted. And I'm gonna send you this recording once it's complete and edited.
Great. Thank you so much for this interview, and it was really great fun. Even sharing the thoughts that I had and being able to be asked the right questions that I wanted to talk about as well. So thank you so much for that opportunity. And great. Good luck with your podcast in the future.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, viewers and listeners. I will see you in the next podcast. Share these podcasts with people who you think might benefit from it. Share the videos on YouTube with people who you think might benefit from it. I'll see you soon. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.